Welcome to the MS Gym podcast. I'm your host, Jody Feltham. In today's podcast episode, we will travel overseas to talk with Lynn. She'll share about her struggle with mental health and isolation. She will also recount her delayed diagnosis and limited treatment options due to legal challenges in her homeland. Lynn will also share about her newfound passion for baking and her goals for the future. Hello, MS Gym family. I am so excited for yet another MS Gym podcast episode. And today we are traveling far, far away, and I'm really excited for you to meet our next guest. So, Lynn Rose, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
No, thank you for asking me to do it. It's fantastic.
Okay. Now, do you go by Lynn or Lynn Rose?
Lynn's fine.
So, Lynn, I hinted that you are far away from North America. Whereabouts are you tuning in from?
I am in Northern Ireland, so
Okay.
I will try and speak slowly so that people can understand my accent.
But it sounds so pretty though. I
Oh,
think
thank you.
if anything from the episode, people are gonna just enjoy listening to the accent. So, Lynn, when did MS show up in your life?
I was diagnosed 15 years last year. I had my diagnosis anniversary last year. I celebrated 15 years. But I think if I look back, I think I had symptoms from when I was a child. There was unexplained illnesses from when I was about 6 years old, where I had a sensitivity to heat and the sun, and no doctor could understand what was wrong with me. But I was getting really, really sick when I would get really hot. And then that kind of got a bit better as I got older. And then when I was about 14, I started having breathing problems, which
Okay.
I now know is exactly the same as the MS hug,
Wow.
but nobody knew what it was. Everyone thought I had anxiety and that it was exam stress, but I was the most laid back person in the world at school. I did not care about exams. I was not stressed. But every doctor was like, no, it is. It's anxiety. That's all that's wrong with you. It's like, it's not, though. I just can't breathe. And someone is squeezing me. And they're like, I don't know, there's nothing wrong with you. You've tested you for everything. And I got no treatment. They just ignored it. That's fine. And then I was 24 when I saw a doctor because I had drop foot. And
Oh.
they thought it was a vascular problem because I had varicose veins on one leg, and they thought that was the problem. So
Hmm.
eventually, it was the vascular surgeon said to me, "There's nothing wrong with your veins. You need to see a neurologist.
Oh,
I know
so
what's wrong
they
with
knew
you,
something was going on.
but I can't tell you because I'm not a neurologist. But you need to see them." It's like, oh, okay. So that's how long it took. So I don't know how long I had it, but I
Wow.
think I was one of those weird people that had it from a child. There's
Wow.
there's too many unexplained things that are just in there that make sense now from when I was very small.
That's interesting that you can try trace it back that
Mm.
far. And you know what they say, hindsight's 2020. So looking
Yeah,
back, noticing these weird things, you're like, oh, that makes sense.
yeah.
So now, how common is MS in Ireland?
Horribly common.
Really?
Northern Ireland, yeah, Northern Ireland has one of the highest rates of MS. It's got to do with the climate, apparently.
Okay.
We have very little vitamin D.
Okay.
Um, the temperatures just seem to increase. All autoimmune diseases seem to be worse, but MS is very high in Northern Ireland and Scotland. And it's the similar weather pattern in both of them, and similar lack of sunshine in both of them, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense because in
Yeah,
Canada we have such a high rate, but that's because we have winter, right? We have
yeah.
a lack of sunshine too.
Mm.
So now along this whole journey, obviously piecing things together over the years,
Mm.
you're like, of course it's MS. But did you have any idea before you went to see the neurologist?
No, it didn't even come into my head. Um, and then when you see a neurologist, I don't know what it's like where you are, but they do not tell you anything. They're not allowed to sort of say we think it's this. I
Oh,
think so many people have sued doctors, and
okay.
so they're just reluctant to say anything. But my sister is, well, a physiotherapist here, so I think it's a physical therapist where you are.
Yep.
And basically, she's Trevor, but she doesn't do neurological diseases.
Okay. Yeah.
But she came with me as my medical sort of translator
Yeah.
on the sly. I took her with me. And so he was doing all what I know now is just the standard neurological tests. So follow my finger and,
Yeah.
and all of those reflex tests. And then at the end of it, she said to me, he's testing you for MS. Now,
Oh.
he didn't say the words to me probably for another 6 months, but she told me and everyone else, that's what you've got.
Oh, crap.
She was right, thank God. It would have been worse if she'd been wrong. But yeah,
Oh,
that was the
wow.
week before Christmas as well. Happy Christmas to me. Yeah. It
Oh,
was the
oh,
18th of December 20, 2008. 2008, yeah. Mm.
okay.
Mm.
Wow. And I'm sure that was hard for her to tell you that or nervous. And I'm sure you were kind of freaking out a little bit.
I didn't know too much about it at that point.
Okay.
So that's that kind of my initial response is I'm very matter of fact. I think that's what it is. I was like, right, okay. So we deal with that. I didn't know quite how serious it was. Probably
Okay.
best that I didn't. Um, she told my mother, who did the worst thing in the world, and went straight onto Google.
Oh, dear.
So before I knew it, my mother had looked it up, read what I don't know what she saw, and had decided I was going to end up in a wheelchair within a year and I was going to be dead within five. I mean, she just convinced herself that's what was going to happen.
Oh,
And that
wow.
was how she spent Christmas. Like, ooh, ooh, that's not strictly true. Let's calm down a bit. So yeah, she was worse than I was. My mother probably grieved my death before she even accepted that I'd been diagnosed.
So your sister knew what was going on, and you said your neurologist didn't tell you for quite a while later.
No.
Why the gap? Why, like,
They, well, they want to do well. They did about three MRIs before they were satisfied, and then they had it written. I know now. I've seen my notes now. It's always written as suspected MS for a long time. They get so nervous about diagnosing it until they see a pattern. I think they
okay,
wanted to see the relapsing and the remitting, and then they would go right. Yeah, it is. You definitely are at this time, but they don't tell you anything. I think I saw the MS nurse, and they still hadn't told me they thought it was MS.
okay.
Like it was all very sort of hidden for a long time. But I did find out later it is because a lot of people sued um, doctors because they got the wrong diagnosis.
That's awful on all fronts because that delay also means that you're not on treatment if that's the course that you
Right.
wanted to do. Like
Yeah.
that feels like there's a little bit of negligence there almost in the fact that they would hold off to. It's almost like they're protecting their own skin
They
and you're
exactly what
paying
they were
for
doing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. To be
Wow.
fair, there wasn't that many treatment options then. I think there was only a choice of three. And as it turned out, the one I got was bloody useless.
What did you start on?
I started on Rebif, I
Okay.
think, yeah. And it did nothing for me. They left me on Rebif for 5 years. And because you don't get regular MRIs here. There just is a shortage of machines and time and waiting lists. And
Okay.
it was so long before they had a follow up, they realized that it hadn't done anything. I was just getting constant lesions and like horrible. Thankfully, not that many physical symptoms, but as
Okay.
it turned out, it was just progressing. It wasn't doing anything to help. So they got me off that pretty quickly. Yeah,
Okay.
but there was a long space of time where there really wasn't that many other options. And
Mm-hmm.
then they started to bring in all of the tablets and the infusions and stuff. So I was like, right, I'm changing to something else,
For sure.
anything else. Yeah.
For sure. What was your next course of action then after?
Um, I took, I know I took a pill one and I can't remember the name of it. I took it till I got pregnant
There's
and it
there's
did work.
There's Gilenia and there's
Yes,
Aubagio.
that might have been it.
Oh,
Gileni,
Gilenia.
that might have been it. Yeah, it wasn't a Baggio. It definitely wasn't a Baggio.
Okay.
But it seemed to work. I took it until I decided to have a baby.
Okay.
And then I came off it to have the baby. And then by the time I had her, she's now, she'll be 7 this year. Um, they brought out so many more new ones. I was like, let's try another one. So that's when I switched on to Ocrevus.
Okay.
And that one was good. Not on it neither, but that one was good.
Oh, you're not on it now.
No, now I'm on. Kesimpta
Oh,
injections.
well, it's like a variation of Ocrevus. This
That
one.
was, yeah, that was nothing to do with Ocrevus being bad. It was because it was the administration of
Okay.
Ocrevus that I didn't like. It was a mental health thing. I took really bad anxiety to go into the hospital, and the sitting for that, I think it was like 6 or 8 hours sitting in the hospital. And
Okay.
I couldn't be doing that. I used to get myself into such a panic attack.
Mm.
I think the last time I had my infusion in hospital, I had a really bad anxiety attack at the end. But I don't
Oh,
know why. I was fine during the day, and then all of a sudden my heartbeat just went insane, and I had to stay there for they do like a observation thing at the end for like an hour. I
yeah.
was there for about 3 hours before they let me leave the hospital because I
Okay.
was having a proper anxiety attack, and I couldn't go back. The next time it came around, I had to ring the nurse and say, I can't do that again.
Okay.
I cannot go and sit in the hospital.
That's interesting. And a lot of the pre-meds they give you, because I've did Ocrevus in the past, they give you like IV, like they give you steroids, which can really mess with your moods, and they give you probably Benadryl, which makes you
Yeah,
kind of
but
knocks you out and stuff. And so it's kind of
yeah,
understandable that you'd have the jitters. So I'm glad Kesimpta's working better for you. So how does MS affect your life day to day now?
I now am full time in a wheelchair. I'm good pretty much from the waist up, which is good. But yeah, my it's my hips and well, no, it's mainly comes from my hips. So I can't stand up. I have very little strength in my legs now. But apart from that, I'm pretty good. I was more concerned that I would lose things in my eyesight and stuff like that. I can handle dealing with the leg thing more than I could deal with up here.
Okay.
Um, because if that started to get affected, I think it would probably annoy me more. It's the legs, and of late, well, I say like from the pandemics at a time,
Mm,
I didn't realize the effect mental health
mm,
would even come into. I didn't even think of that as a thing because I've never worried about it before. That's been a major impact
mm.
recently. Like I can't do that. I've been housebound probably for so long that leaving the house is such a big thing now.
Yeah.
I will work myself up into a state over the idea of just going around to my kids' school for
Mm,
5 minutes. So I'll think of any excuse not to leave the house, which
okay.
isn't good, but I'm working on it. It's just, I need to deal with that side of it as well as the physical side of it, which I never thought when I was diagnosed, I didn't think I was going to have to deal with worrying about leaving the house. That
Mm,
was never a major problem. It's easier probably to deal with the legs than it is to deal with the mental health. But I don't think it's uncommon. I think a
mm,
lot of people suddenly, I think it's maybe just over the years, you get so used to living in a bubble that
mm.
leaving that bubble becomes frightening.
Yeah, that's understandable. And COVID added a whole other layer. Like
Mm.
we became fearful of people. Like
Yeah.
when COVID was out, if you went out for grocery, anywhere you went, your mental thing was someone could kill me unknowingly if they have COVID and I get it. Like so then we
Yeah.
began to see strangers as potential murderers and it really messed with our minds. And then we got used to being somewhat isolated from outside because I don't know if it was the same in Ireland, but so many things became online. And
Yeah.
I had a greater community online, all sorts of different things through my church and different things. And I was suddenly interacting with people. It was online, but
Yeah.
I had more opportunities for engagement. And then after COVID, everyone wanted to, go back to the real
Normal.
world. But after 4 or 5 years, right, like with MS and sometimes with MS progression, suddenly, what maybe we could have done with a walker, suddenly we find ourselves at a different stage and it's hard to process that. And then maybe also processing how other people see us, like out in a wheelchair or things
Mhm.
like that. Like I don't know if some of that is what you've gone through,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people's interacting with other people and dealing with other people, trying to understand what's going on with you.
Yeah. Well, I lost, I think, 90% of my social circle.
Mm.
Over about 5 years, they're gone.
Oh,
Like I don't have that circle of friends, probably like pre-diagnosis, that I thought were the good friendship circle. I think I've got one, maybe two left. everyone else kind of just
Mm.
gradually disappeared.
Oh.
And they stopped contacting you. They just couldn't be bothered with the adaptation. I don't know what it was, but they just stopped. Um, I find myself for a long time, it looked like I was chasing people to get sort of recognized. But in the last couple of years, I've kind of taken an approach of I honestly can't be bothered.
Mm.
I, I don't want to constantly be going, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. It's like, if you don't want to answer me, that's fine. I don't care. Like, if you want to speak to me, you'll speak to me. I'm not begging for your friendship anymore. The
Mm.
people I do have are properly good friends.
That's good.
They are really good friends that, would do anything for you. I know if I picked up the phone, regardless of the time of day, they would be here.
Mm.
They were there when I was pregnant. They helped me. They helped me when I was pregnant because that was difficult. Because that's when I ended up in the wheelchair, was when I was pregnant.
Oh, during pregnancy.
Yeah, I was fine. I had a great pregnancy. I felt amazing up
Hmm.
until mm, 28 weeks when
Oh,
I fell.
okay.
And yes, and protected the bump. Baby was fine.
Yeah.
Didn't even put a hand out to protect myself when I fell.
Oh dear.
Wrapped my hands around the bump and landed on my pelvis.
Oh.
And bruised, didn't break anything, just bruised everything, but
Hmm.
ended up in the wheelchair. And from then, I never really got out of it. But like, I had friends had to come and help me go to the hospital appointments
Hmm.
because I was huge and I was stuck in a wheelchair.
Oh
So
God.
I needed every hand I could get to move me around.
When people think about MS and they think about like our physical limitations, they see that we struggle to walk or that we're in a wheelchair. But oftentimes people don't realize, some of the mental health stuff that we go through, but
Mm,
also grieving not just our physical bodies changing, but what you were talking about, losing your friends. Like there's like there's a lot of loss involved in the process of losing your abilities and losing your mobilities, but then also losing, friends. And
mm.
you can look back and say, obviously they weren't the best
No,
of friends because they weren't there for me when I needed them the most. But it's still a process, it's another way that life is changing that's kind of outside of our control.
yeah. I don't know if that would have been as bad if the likes of COVID had not happened and I was able to get out, or maybe it would have been the same. I don't know. Maybe it's too difficult to maintain a friendship with someone with limitations, like they can't go to certain places, or in my case, I can only eat in certain places, like, and
Yeah.
I will suss out whether I can use a bathroom in certain places.
Mm.
It's like I can't get upstairs in that place. It's like, so
Mm.
they don't want to ask then because it's just too much hassle.
That's still sad. Like it's
Mm. But it's the reality of what it is. I think
yeah.
I try not to dwell too much on the sad side of it because I think I could end up going down a rabbit hole of sort of depression and self pity, and I've now decided not to do that.
And that's definitely the healthier option because it doesn't really
Mm.
lead us anywhere. It just gets us stuck. It doesn't move us forward. But it is a real loss, and it's something that, we need
Mm.
to take time to grieve and stuff, those changes. How did you go about finding the MS gym?
I had to double check this actually, but the MS gym found me.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very, very strange. I was in the hospital having my Ocrevus infusion, and the medication was late. So there was a delay of about 3 hours. And I have or had, I don't use it so much anymore, but an Instagram sort of blog thing.
okay.
And I had been documenting the Ocrevus journey with pictures and videos and stuff. And I posted a thing it was basically a picture of the IV attached to nothing. And the
Oh,
bag had nothing hanging because I was waiting for the drugs to arrive.
yeah.
And the post was liked by the MS Gym. And then
Oh,
there was a comment with a sort of pun remark saying, hang in there, because I'd done the picture of the hanging.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know who this person is. So I had sort of gone, what is the M? I've never heard of the MS Gym. I've never seen this. And then I clicked on the link and found the Instagram page. But that
Okay.
was the first I'd ever heard of it. I don't know. Like there wasn't even I don't know what hashtag got their attention because there wasn't really much hashtagged in it, but they found me first. So,
Wow.
yay.
Wow. What year do you think that was?
That was in June 2020.
That's interesting. It was meant to be that
Hmm.
they found you.
Because just as I clicked on that, they had the 2 week, I think it was a 2 week free. It was like a BGB boot camp, I think is
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
And that's what I decided to try. Because I was in my head, I was thinking, I can't really afford to do anything, but I'll check it out and see what it's like. I had
Yeah.
no intentions of paying for a membership at that point.
Yeah.
None at all. Like I had no job. I was like, can't afford this. I've got a child. There's no way. But I'll try 2 weeks and see what this is about.
Mhm.
I've had therapy before. Let's see if it's any good. And instantly, I would say within those 2 weeks, and I am not a person who ever went to a gym. Not gonna lie, no fitness. Did
Yeah.
not exercise. I was lazy. Should have done more. Didn't. Um, I really liked it, and instantly saw results.
That's fantastic.
Like I was amazed at that point that I could see things improving almost straight away. I was like, I kind of have to find a way to pay for this. And
Mm.
then initially, when I looked up, you could only do the annual membership, and I was like, oh, there's no way in hell I can do that. And I sent an email to say, is there any way around that, or does it have to be the annual one? And Ken got back to me almost instantly and was like, no, you can do it monthly.
Mm.
We can do that for you if that's what you need to do. And I was like, I will find a way. If I have to starve for 1 day or two
Oh
a month,
dear.
I will pay this. This is fine. I'm only joking. I didn't starve myself to do this, but yeah, there was no way I was not going to join up at that point because the results were too good, too quick, and
Mm.
it was crazy. I'd like for someone who'd never exercised, I was amazed at how good this was. Plus, I didn't think I'd enjoy it. I
Mm.
thought the idea of a boot camp and watching exercise online, I was like, this is not going to be fun for me. Like, I'm going to hate this. I'm going to dread this every single day, but I will do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. I instantly thought Trevor was hilarious
Hmm.
and could so easily listen to him. I didn't think I'd be able to. I thought he would annoy me. I thought happy people like generally do annoy me. You know what I mean? Like the happy, upbeat people telling me to exercise. I thought I'm gonna want to kill them. I'm gonna someone's gonna die. But no, I genuinely quite liked him. I was like, no, I can stick this out. I can do this. I
That's
can
great.
maybe make myself walk again. We'll see. And did do a bit of walking at some point. That did work. I started walking and
Hmm.
then it all went a bit wrong. But I got COVID and it all went wrong. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I did good. I didn't catch COVID all through the pandemic bit. I got it way after and it floored me completely. And I lost the ability to stand up again. Having
Okay.
got to a point where I could walk little amounts with a walker around the house, I was like, this is getting somewhere. This is going good. I raised money for charity. I walk around my house and raise money.
Oh.
And then I got COVID. Yeah. So I went back to square one, or probably worse than I was. And I'm still building from there because every time I get to a point where I'm getting better, I catch some kind of cold or infection because I live with a 6-year-old who brings every cold and infection home
Oh,
with her.
that's okay.
Yeah. But it's still working slowly forward, but now it's sort of crawling forward as opposed to
Mm.
stepping forward.
And stress does so much. Like obviously sickness, anytime our temperature gets raised, right?
Mm.
Like it's so common reading about in our Facebook community, like someone gets
Mm.
COVID or the flu or surgery or whatever, and it knocks them back down and it can be so discouraging. And I think often of one of the posts that Trevor put up is like a man pushing this heavy rock up a hill.
Yeah.
And then, like, even though it's a slow process, if he stops, it's going to come back down on him. Like,
Yeah.
even progress is progress, even if it's slow. And I think sometimes when you feel like, what's the point of me exercising? You're still preventing it from moving backwards. When you're not thinking about exercise or movement, what do you like to do for fun?
I've recently discovered I have a talent for baking.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I liked baking, but it turns out other people also seem to like cupcakes. It's all cupcakes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because now this is a weird one. The MS or the treatments, I don't know which it is, have caused my immune system to attack me. So I can no longer tolerate gluten or dairy.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like bread and cheese quite a lot.
Yes.
So they've taken away two things that I love. So they tried to take cake, and I said no. So I learned how to bake gluten and dairy free cupcakes.
Oh.
Because when you buy them, they're disgusting. Well, they're disgusting over here. Nobody,
Yeah, no gluten and dairy free here aren't. They're hard to find and they're not
no, they're
especially
not good.
bread.
They're
Mm-mm.
bad. But for some reason, I found a recipe or changed a recipe, and they're good. I'm not gonna. Well, they're really good. They're good. I don't know. They're just really good. And now other people want to buy them. So like, yeah, okay. People who aren't gluten and dairy free are buying them. They don't. They don't seem to notice the difference. It could be a fun sideline. Keep me happy.
What are you hoping, the next few years hold for you? Do you and your family have any plans of travel or doing
Hmm.
some family event?
I would like. I don't know if I'll be able to do this. Well, if I can get my mobility better, and if I can get the anxiety under control more than anything. This sounds ridiculous, but I really want to, because my wee girl is 7 this year, and she suddenly decided she wants to go to, well, Disneyland, not Disney World, so the smaller one in Paris. I've been there before when I think I was 18. I didn't go as a child, but she desperately has suddenly discovered that Disneyland exists.
Oh.
I've hid it for so long, but we've never traveled with her. She's never been on a plane. She's
Okay.
never been on holiday because I've never been able to do it.
Yeah.
The idea of getting on an airplane right now terrifies me. I couldn't mentally do it, never mind physically. My sister lives in London, so we could fly over to her because you can go from London to Paris quite easily on a train. She could go to London, she could visit her auntie, go to London Zoo and see the animals, and then travel to Disneyland. That would be the ideal before. I was thinking when she's around 10 or 11,
Hmm.
before she gets to her bigger school. It's like we could go as a family. That would be the big aim for me because I've done the other aims in my life. But right now, that's the only big one for her. And then she'll be too old after that. So we need to do it while she's young enough to do it, I suppose.
That sounds like a great goal to work towards. And like you said, in a few years, you've got time to process stuff and prepare yourself and prepare your body. So I think that's a good thing, like Trevor, Misty often, I don't even know in 2020 if Misty was around that much. I think she was looking after her kiddos. But they talked a lot about finding your why, of like why you do things, why you exercise, why you take care of yourself. And, the fact that your goal is so that your daughter can go see, I can't remember if it's Disneyland or Disney World in Paris, but
There's Disneyland in Paris and Disney World
Disneyland.
in London.
Okay. I think that's shows what your why is, that you want to do something for her, you want to give
Sure.
her experience for sure. Well, Lynn, it has been wonderful chatting with you. Thank you so much for giving up your afternoon
Oh, not a problem.
to speak with me. And I hope that we'll see some more engagement in our Facebook community with you
Yeah,
and just sharing just how you are in your journey, because I know that you're definitely not alone in some of these, especially these mental health challenges,
yeah.
things like that. I think there's a lot of people that would say me too as well.
Well, thank you. I will probably, I know that I will see you probably on the members only, and we can chat then.
Okay, great. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the MS Gym podcast. You can find more about the MS Gym on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and at themsgym.com.